Right. So what are you seeing from your accounting students and your accounting clients right now? What are the pivots that you are seeing people make, and how do you advise people to be thinking about any kind of like, let's like future cast, okay?
Yeah.
Getting ahead of what's coming. How do you see that right now? I mean, whether it's market dynamics with inflationary pressure and, macroeconomic realities, or just micro within each different practice and your students, what are you beating the drum about right now for your students?
So I will forecast. I will take the ball and see into the future a little bit here. Two things, huge things, and we're already seeing it. So what I'm going to say shouldn't sound new, but I think it's hugely relevant and important. First thing is this: when we are working with our clients, whether it's in accounting or tax, we have to, at some level, get into the advisory. Now, it might be an additional value add that you're doing to the services you're currently providing, or it literally could be an additional revenue stream, a very conscientious relationship you have with your client that they're paying additionally for. Either way, there are two questions that the accounting profession, the tax profession has to do a much better job with our clients. And it's basically asking of them or of ourselves first, therefore what? I'm looking at this information, therefore what do I do with this information? And I think too often our clients, they lean on us, and we have for years, I think, just pushed back saying, well, no, it's your company, you need to be running the business. And it's not that I'm suggesting we offer answers or solutions, but we have to be asking ourselves the questions, therefore what does this mean? And draw attention to those things that the business owner oftentimes is overlooking, not seeing, but it stands out to us because we're so familiar with the story that the accounting language is telling. The second thing that I think we need to be doing a much
So just to highlight it and restate it in maybe different language, offering advisory type services in whatever your wheelhouse practice area might be. So whether it's tax or accounting, what have you, figuring out a way to price and offer at a good value to your client advice, coaching in a sense around those numbers, interpreting the data.
And I wouldn't go so far as to say as offering the advice. It's not that I'm suggesting we have answers to everything, but I am suggesting that we need to be drawing attention, highlighting, asking questions about information so that it becomes part of the conversation. If it's there in the narrative, they're going to appreciate what we're doing for them because it's more than just the reports. We've got to highlight, draw attention to things that stand out to us when we're not involved in the day-to-day operations of a business, either at an accounting or tax level. Therefore, what? That, if you're making all this profit, what am I going to have to do with tax related to the profits I'm earning? Well, therefore, buy new equipment or invest it here. I mean, therefore what? I have this money. Therefore what? We've got to be better at that. The second, and it's related to this, is we've got to be willing to ask questions about the business. I think too often the accounting, the tax professionals are either too busy or they feel it's not their place to ask. And I want to give permission to everyone in the accounting profession. It is okay to ask the question about the business owner and what they're deciding to do in the business. As you see things going on, I'm seeing you're spending more money here. I'm seeing that this is happening. What's going on? Just be a little bit more curious about what's happening rather than so busy that you're just trying to paper push, hey, these financials are done. Case in point, one of my business clients that I just worked with, last month, we did some changes and they noticed that, or actually I noticed that they had payroll that appeared to be double booked. It was the import that was coming out of Intuit with QuickBooks, and it was the bank statement. And so it was something to that effect. And I was like, this appears to be double booked. And he just went back to the accountant and they go, oh yeah, it looks like one's an automated and one was manual. And I was just astounded. How did that person not catch that? It was so obvious in my opinion. And
that's a big chunk, presumably, of the books.
Well, it obviously impacted the bottom line by thousands of dollars. And I was just basically saying, double check your work, just look and point some things out. So often when I meet with my business clients for whom we do not do the accounting work, I'm astounded that there are things that stand out to me when I look at the numbers that the accountant never bothered to point out. If nothing else, just to highlight, I mentioned in an email, by the way, I see that revenues are up 10%. Celebrate that with the client, point that out. Don't just give them the numbers and imply you didn't even bother to look. hey, I see that your growth this quarter over last quarter is up 10%. That's amazing. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. That's all that had to be said. And as accounting professionals, we just don't get into the narrative. And I think we need to do a better job of it.
And I think the same is true with tax, because I see a lot of conversation like on Twitter and LinkedIn where people gripe about the surprises that come with the tax paperwork. And what I always want to say to these tax practitioners is like, why didn't you know this before? You know, you're gobsmacked by the client whipping out these, you know, this receipt or this entity or whatever, and you're complaining that you've got a gambling winnings or crypto or whatever it might be. And why weren't you involved in that in the first place is my question.